Hare Krishna. It's Janmashtami today, and the technology being what it is amazing. All the live streaming going on with all the celebrations and the plays in Russia, in Europe, in America, UK, India. Just amazing, all the celebrating for Krishna. I tell you, my busy days running around doing things is pretty much wound down. So what I'm going to do, it's about 7 o'clock at night here in the East Coast of the U.S., Janmashtami, and temple activities are cranked up. They're getting ready to do a fire yagna of some sort or other. There's plays, there's kirtans. Everything's restricted because of the virus problem, but they're still cranked up and going on, doing a lot of things. But I'm just here, just about 5 minutes away from the temple. And when they start chanting really loud, I can hear it from here. But I'm just back on the other side, about 5 minutes away. Walk, 5-minute walk. So Prabhupada, he didn't know how much time he would have, and if he could complete the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, its 12 cantos. And actually, he wasn't able to. He disappeared after doing the full 9 cantos, and then the first 3 parts of the 10th canto. So there's a lot more to the 10th canto, but he was able to do the first 3 parts in the same way that he had done the other 9 cantos, with Sanskrit word for word and transliteration and extensive commentary and purports and illustrations. Beautiful books. But early on, he did a summary study of the entire 10th canto because he didn't know how long he would have. And so the entire 10th canto is here in a summary study. And as far as the scholarly and authoritative word for word with the Sanskrit and all of that, Prabhupada was only able to get through the first 3 parts. And I don't know how many parts there are to the 10th canto. I think there might be like 20 parts, something like that. He got through to the first 3 before he disappeared. He had to leave. So I've never read them, these 3 parts. I've read the summary study, but I've never read the Sanskrit and the translations and like that. So I was just going to, I think I can get through all 3 of them. And I'm just going to read the Sanskrit and the English translation. I'm thinking it might take a couple hours. But here we go. There's purports, but I'm not going to read the purports. I'm just going to do the Sanskrit and Prabhupada's English translations. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text 1. Shri Rajuvacha Katito Vamsavishtaro Bhavata Somasuryayo Ragtam Chovaya Vamshanam Charitam Paramadbhutam. King Parikshit said, My dear Lord, you have elaborately described the dynasties of both the moon god and the sun god with the exalted and wonderful character of their kings. Yadoscha dharma silasya nitaram Muni Satama Tatram Sena Patirnasya Vishnur Viryani Samsana. O best of the Munis, you have also described the descendants of Yadu who were very pious and strictly adherent to religious principles. Now, if you will, kindly describe the wonderful, glorious activities of Lord Vishnu, or Krishna, who appeared in that Yadu dynasty with Baladev and his plenary expansion. Avatirya Yadorvamse Bhagavan Bhutta Bhavana Kritavan Vani Vishvatma Tanino Vadavishtarat. The Supersoul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, the cause of the cosmic manifestation, appeared in the dynasty of Yadu. Please tell me elaborately about his glorious activities and character from the beginning to the end of his life. Nivrittatarshir upagiyamanad bhavo sadat mano biramat sa uttama sloka guna nuvadat puman virajeta vina pashugnat. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in the Parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false, temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul, undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? Pita Mahame Samare Maranjar Devavratat Yatiratais Timingila Diratyayam Karava Sanya Sagaram Kritvataran Vatsa Padam Sma Yatplava Janyastra Viplushtam Idam Mad Angam Sanatana Bijam Kurupandavanam Jugopa Kukshim Gata Ata Chakro Matuschame Ya Saranam Gataya Viryani Tasyaikila Deha Bhajam Antarbahi Purusha Kalarupai Prayachato Mrityum Utamritam Cha Maya Manusyasya Vadasvavipan. Taking the boat of Krishna's lotus feet, my grandfather Arjuna and others crossed the ocean of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in which such commanders as Bhismadev resembled great fish that could very easily have swallowed them. By the mercy of Lord Krishna, my grandfathers crossed this ocean, which was very difficult to cross, as easily as one steps over the hoofprint of a calf. Because my mother surrendered unto Lord Krishna's lotus feet, the Lord, Sudarshan Chakra in hand, entered her womb and saved my body, the body of the last remaining descendant of the Kurus and the Pandavas, which was almost destroyed by the fiery weapon of Asvatthama. Lord Sri Krishna, appearing within and outside of all materially embodied living beings by his own potency in the forms of eternal time, that is, as Paramatma and Virat Rupa, gave liberation to everyone, either as cruel death or as life, kindly enlighten me by describing his transcendental characteristics. Rohinyastanaya prokto Rama Shankarshana Tvaya Devakya Garba Sambana Kuto Dehantaram Vina. My dear Sukadev Goswami, you have already explained that Shankarshan, who belongs to the second quadruple, appeared as the son of Rohini named Balaram. If Balaram was not transferred from one body to another, how is it possible that he was first in the womb of Devaki and then in the womb of Rohini? Kindly explain this to me. Kasman Mukando Bhagavan Pitur Gehad Vrajam Gata Kvavasham Jantivi Sardam Kritavan Satpatam Pati. Why did Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, leave the house of his father, Vasudeva, and transfer himself to the house of Nanda in Vrindavan? Where did the Lord, the master of the Yadu dynasty, live with his relatives in Vrindavan? Vrajevasan Kimakaran Madhu Prityan Chakeshava Vrataran Chavadi Kamsam Matur Adha Tad Arhanam. Lord Krishna lived both in Mathura and Vrindavan. What did he do there? Why did he kill Kamsa, his mother's brother? Such killing is not at all sanctioned in the Shastras. Deham manusam asricha kati varshani vishnivi yadu puryam sahavasi patna katyavavan prabho. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has no material body, yet he appears as a human being. For how many years did he live with the descendants of Vrishni? How many wives did he marry? And for how many years did he live in Dwarka? Etat anyacha sarvame mune Krishna vichestitam bhaktum arhasi sarvagya shradanaya vishtristam. O great sage, who know everything about Krishna, please describe in detail all the activities of which I have inquired, and also those of which I have not, for I have full faith and am eager to hear of them. Naisadi sahashunmam chaktodam apibadhate pibantam tan mukamboja chutam hari katamritam. Because of my vow on the verge of death, I have given up even drinking water. Yet, because I am drinking the nectar of topics about Krishna, which is flowing from the lotus mouth of your Lordship, my hunger and thirst, which are extremely difficult to bear, cannot hinder me. Matirna Krishna. Oh, no, that's not it. Sutta Uvacha. Evam nisamya brigu nandana sadhu vadam Vaishyaki sa bhagavan ata vishnu ratam pratyarcha krishna charitam kali kalma sagrinam yahartum arabhata bhagavata pradana. Sutta Goswami said, O son of Brigu, Shaunaka Rishi, after Shukadev Goswami, the most respectable devotee, the son of Vyasadeva, heard the pious questions of Maharaj Parikshit, he thanked the king with great respect. Then he began to discourse on topics concerning Krishna, which are the remedy for all sufferings in this age of Kali. Sri Sukha Vacha Samyak Yavasita Buddhis Tavarajarshi Satama Vasudeva Katayam Te Yajata Naistaki Rati. Srila Sukadeva Goswami said, "Oh, Your Majesty, best of all saintly kings, because you're greatly attracted to the topics of Vasudeva, it is certain that your intelligence is firmly fixed in spiritual understanding, which is the only true goal for humanity, because that attraction is unceasing. It is certainly sublime." Vasudeva Kata Prashna Purusham Trin Punatihi Bhaktaram Prachakam Shrotrim Tatpada Salilam Kata. The Ganges, emanating from the toe of Lord Vishnu, purifies the three worlds, the upper, middle, and lower planetary systems. Similarly, when one asks questions about the pastimes and characteristics of Lord Vasudeva, Krishna, three varieties of men are purified: the speaker or preacher, he who inquires, and the people in general who listen. Umir Drikta Nrida Vyaja Dai Yanika Satu Yutai Akranta Puribarena Brahmanam Saranam Yayo. Once, when Mother Earth was overburdened by hundreds of thousands of military phalanxes of various conceited demons dressed like kings, she approached the Lord Brahma for relief. Gorbut Vasu Mukhi Kina Krandanti Karunam Vibho Upasti Tantike Tasmai Vyasanam Samo Vachata. Mother Earth assumed the form of a cow. Very much distressed, with tears in her eyes, she appeared before Lord Brahma and told him about her misfortune. Brahma tad upadayata saha devaistaya saha jagama satrinayanas tiram shiras payonide. Thereafter, having heard of the distress of Mother Earth, Lord Brahma with Mother Earth, Lord Shiva, and all the other demigods approached the shore of the ocean of milk. Tatra Gatva Jaganatam Devadevam Vishakapim Purusham Purusha Shuktena Upataste Samahita. After reaching the shore of the ocean of milk, the demigods worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, the Master of the whole universe, the Supreme God of all gods, who provides for everyone and diminishes everyone's suffering. With great attention, they worship Lord Vishnu, who lies on the ocean of milk, by reciting the Vedic mantras known as Purusha Shukta. Giram Samad Ho Gagane Samiritam Nisamya Vedas Tridasan Uvachaha Gam Purushim Me Shrinutamara Punar Vidiyatam Ashum Tataivama Chiram. While in trance, Lord Brahma heard the words of Lord Vishnu vibrating in the sky. Thus he told the demigods, "O demigods, hear from me the order of Chiradakshai Vishnu, the Supreme Person, and execute it attentively without delay. Paraiva Pumsa Vajito Darajaro Bavad Bir Amsar Yadusu Pajayantam Sayavad Urvya Param Ishvareshvara Swakala Sakya Shapayam Chare Bhuvi. Lord Brahma informed the demigods, before we submitted our petition to the Lord, he was already aware of the distress on earth. Consequently, for as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by his own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods should appear through plenary portions as the sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. Vasudeva Grihe Shakshat Bhagavan Purusha Para Janisyate Tad Priyartam Sambhavantu Sarastriya. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who has full potency, will personally appear as the son of Vasudeva. Therefore, all the wives of the demigods should also appear in order to satisfy him. Vasudeva Kalananta Sahasravadana Swarat Agrato Babita Devo Hare Priya Chikirshaya. The foremost manifestation of Krishna is Shankarshan, who is known as Ananta. He is the origin of all incarnations within this material world. Previous to the appearance of Lord Krishna, this original Shankarshan will appear as Baladev, just to please the Supreme Lord Krishna in his transcendental pastimes. Vishnormaya Bhagavati Yaya Samohita Jagat Adista Pra Punam Sena Karyarte Sambhavishyati. The potency of the Lord, known as Vishnumaya, who is as good as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, will also appear with Lord Krishna. This potency, acting in different capacities, captivates all the worlds, both material and spiritual. At the request of her master, she will appear with her different potencies in order to execute the work of the Lord. Shri Shukavacha Iti Adis Varagandan Prajapati Patir Vibhu Aspasyacha Mahim Giri Swadama Paramam Yayo. Sukadeva Goswami continued, after thus advising the demigods and pacifying Mother Earth, the very powerful Lord Brahma, who is the master of all other Prajapatis and is therefore known as Prajapati Pati, returned to his own abode, Brahmaloka. Shurasheno Yadupati Maturam Avasan Purim Maturam Churashesh Namcha Visayan Bubuje Para. Formerly, Shurashen, the chief of the Yadu dynasty, had gone to live in the city of Mathura. There he enjoyed the places known as Mathura and Shurashen. Rajadani Tata Sadbu Sarva Yadava Bhujam Mathura Bhagavan Yatra Nityam Sani Ito Hari. Since that time, the city of Mathura has been the capital of all the kings of the Yadu dynasty. The city and district of Mathura are very intimately connected with Krishna, for Lord Krishna lives there eternally. Tasyam tu kari churir Vasudeva kritodvaha Devakya Saraya Sardam Prayane Ratam Ruhat. Some time ago, Vasudeva, who belonged to the demigod family, or the Shura dynasty, married Devaki. After the marriage, he mounted his chariot to return home with his newly married wife. Ugasena Sutta Kamsa svasu priya chikirshaya rasmin hayanam jagraha rokmai rakta satire prita. Kamsa, the son of King Ugrasen, in order to please his sister Devaki on the occasion of her marriage, took charge of the reins of the horses and became the chariot driver. He was surrounded by hundreds of golden chariots. Chatu satam paribarham gajanam hemamalinam aspanam ayutam sardam ratanam cha trisatsatam dashinam sukumarinam dve sate samahalang krite duhitre devaka pradad yane duhitriva sala. Devaki's father, King Devaka, was very much affectionate to his daughter. Therefore, while she and her husband were leaving home, he gave her a dowry of 400 elephants nicely decorated with golden garlands. He also gave 10,000 horses, 1,800 chariots, and 200 very beautiful young maidservants fully decorated with ornaments. Sankhya Turya Midangascha Nidur Dundubaya Samam Prayana Prakame Tata Vara Vadpo Sumangalam. O beloved son, Maharaj Parikshit, when the bride and bridegroom were ready to start, conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums all vibrated in concert for their auspicious departure. Pati pragrahinam kamsam abya sya hasarir vak asya tvam astamo garbo hantayam vahase buddha. While Kamsa, controlling the reins of the horses, was driving the chariot along the way, an unembodied voice addressed him. You foolish rascal, the 8th child of the woman you are carrying will kill you. Iti uktasa kalap papo bojanam kulapam sana bhaginim hantum arabham kadga pani kache grahit. Kamsa was a condemned personality in the Bhoja dynasty because he was envious and sinful. Therefore, upon hearing this omen from the sky, he caught hold of his sister's hair with his left hand and took up his sword with his right hand to sever her head from her body. Tam jugupshita karmanam risham nirapatra pam Vasudevo Mahabhaga Uvacha Parishan Vayan. Wanting to pacify Kamsa, who was so cruel and envious that he was shamelessly ready to kill his sister, the great soul Vasudeva, who was to be the father of Krishna, spoke to him in the following words. Sri Vasudeva Uvacha Slaganiya Gunasurar Bhavan Bhoja Yashakshara Sakatam Bhaginim Hanyat Striyam Udvaha Pavani. Vasudeva said, My dear brother-in-law Kamsa, you are the pride of your family, the Bhoja dynasty, and great heroes praise your qualities. How could such a qualified person as you kill a woman, your own sister, especially on the occasion of her marriage? Michur Janma Avatam Vira Dehena sahajayate adyavibad santevad michurvaipra ninam dhruva. O great hero, one who takes birth is sure to die, for death is born with the body. One may die today or after hundreds of years, but death is certain for every living entity. Dehe panchatvam apane dehi karmanugo vasa dehantaram anuprapya proktanam tvachate vapu. When the present body turns to dust and is again reduced to 5 elements, earth, water, fire, air, and ether, the proprietor of the body, the living being, automatically receives another body of material elements according to his fruit of activities. When the next body is obtained, he gives up the present body. Rajam Tishtan Padaikena Yatai Vaikena Gachati Yatatrin Jalo Kaivam Dehi Karma Gatim Gata. Just as a person traveling on the road rests one foot on the ground, then lifts the other, or as a worm on a vegetable transfers himself to one leaf and then gives up the previous one, the conditioned soul takes shelter of another body and then gives up the one he had before. Swapneyata pasyati dehamidrisham manoratena vinivishta chetana drishta shrutabhyam manasanuchitaya prapadyate tat kim apihi pasmiti. Having experienced a situation by seeing or hearing about it, one contemplates and speculates about that situation. Thus one surrenders to it, not considering his present body. Similarly, by mental adjustments, one dreams at night of living under different circumstances, in different bodies, and forgets his actual position. Under the same process, one gives up his present body and accepts another. Tata dihan tara prapti. Yato yato davati daiva choditam mano vikarat makam apa panchasu guneshu maya rachiteshu dehasho prapadyamana sahatena jayate. At the time of death, according to the thinking, feeling, and willing of the mind, which is involved in fruitive activities, one receives a particular body. In other words, the body develops according to the activities of the mind. Changes of body are due to the flickering of the mind, and otherwise, the soul could remain in its original spiritual body. Jyotirya Taivodika Partiveshado Samira Vegano Gatam Vibhavyate. Evam Sva Maya Rachite Shvaso Puman Guneshu Ragano Gato Vimuyati. When the luminaries in the sky, such as the moon, the sun, and the stars, are reflected in liquids like oil or water, they appear to be of different shapes, sometimes round, sometimes long, and so on, because of the movements of the wind. Similarly, when the living entity, the soul, is absorbed in materialistic thoughts, he accepts various manifestations as his own identity because of ignorance. In other words, one is bewildered by mental concoctions because of agitation from the material modes of nature. Tasmana kasya chidroham acharit sa tata vidha atmana shemam anvichan drohur vai parato vayam. Therefore, since envious, impious activities cause a body in which one suffers in the next life, why should one act impiously? Considering one's welfare, one should not envy anyone. For an envious person must always fear harm from his enemies, either in this life or in the next. Esha tavanuja bala kripana putriko pama hantum narhasi kalyanim imam tvam dina vatsala. As your younger sister, this poor girl Devaki is like your own daughter and deserves to be affectionately maintained. You are merciful, and therefore you should not kill her. Indeed, she deserves your affection. Sri Shuka Uvacha Evam sa sama birbedair bodhyamano pi daruna Nadyavartata karva purushadan anuspata. Sukadev Goswami continued, O best of the Kuru dynasty, Kamsa was fiercely cruel and was actually a follower of the Rakshasas. Therefore he could be neither pacified nor terrified by the good transcendental instructions given by Vasudeva. He did not care about the results of sinful activities, either in this life or in the next. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Nirbandam tasyatam natva vichintyana kadundubi praptam kalam pativyodam idam chat ranava padyata. When Vasudeva saw Kamsa was determined to kill his sister, Devaki, he thought to himself very deeply. Considering the imminent danger of his death, he thought of planning another plan to stop Kamsa. Michur buddhi matopoyo yavad buddhi balodayam yad yasona nivartate na parado sti dehinam. As long as he has intelligence and bodily strength, an intelligent person must try to avoid death. This is the duty of every embodied person. But if death cannot be avoided in spite of one's illnesses, in spite of one's endeavors, a person facing such death commits no offense. Pradaya mityave putran mochaye kripanam imam sutame yadya yadi jayaran michurvana mityete chet viparyayo va kim nasyat gatir datur duratyaya upaskito nivarteta nirita punar apatet. Vasudeva continued, by delivering all my sons to Kamsa, who is death personified, I shall save the life of Devaki. Perhaps Kamsa will die before my sons take birth, or, since he is already destined to die at the hands of my son, one of my sons will kill him. For the time being, let me promise to hand over my sons so that Kamsa will give up this immediate threat, and if in due course of time Kamsa dies, I shall have nothing to fear. Agnerya tadaru viyoga yogayor adristatonyan na nimittam asti evam hi jantor api durvi bhavya sarira samyoga viyoga hari. Hare Krishna. When a fire, for some unseen reason, leaps over one piece of wood and sets fire to the next, the reason is destiny. Similarly, a living being accepts one kind of body and leaves aside another. There's no other reason than unseen destiny. Evam vishamyatam papam yavad atmani darshanam pujayam asavai sarir bahu mana parasara. After thus considering the matter as far as his knowledge would allow, Vasudeva submitted his proposal to the sinful Kamsa with great respect. Prasana vadanam bojo risham mirat patrapam manasa duyamanena vihasan idam apravit. Vasudeva's mind was full of anxiety because his wife was facing danger, but in order to please the cruel, shameless, and sinful Kamsa, he externally smiled and spoke to him as follows. Shri Vasudeva Vacha Na yas yaste Vayam somya yadvai sahas sariravak putran samar paishesha yataste vayam utitam. Vasudeva said, O best of the sober, you have nothing to fear from your sister Devaki because of what you have heard from the unseen omen. The cause of death will be her sons. Therefore I promise that when she gives birth to the sons from whom your fear has arisen, I shall deliver them all unto your hands. Sri Shuka Vacha Swasur Vadhan Nivartate Kamsastat Vakisaravi Vasudevo Piyam Tam Priham Prasayasya Pravisad Griham. Sukadeva Goswami continued, Kamsa agreed to the logical arguments of Vasudeva, and having full faith in his, Vasudeva's, words, he refrained from killing his sister. Atakala Upavrite Devaki Sarva Devata Putran Pra Susure Chesta. Krishna. Each year thereafter, in course of time, Devaki, the mother of God, and all the demigods, gave birth to a child. Thus she bore 8 sons, one after another, and a daughter named Subhadra. Kyutimantam pratyamajam kamsayana kanantu dubi arpayam asakritrena so mitad ativi vala. Vasudeva was very much disturbed by fear of becoming a liar by breaking his promise. Thus, with great pain, he delivered his firstborn son, named Kyutiman, into the hands of Kamsa. Kim dushaham nusadunam vishudam kim apekshitam kim akaryam kadaryanam dustyajam kim dvitatmanam. What is painful for saintly persons who strictly adhere to the truth? How could there not be independence for pure devotees who know the Supreme Lord as the substance? What deeds are forbidden for persons of the lowest character, and what cannot be given up for the sake of Lord Krishna by those who have fully surrendered at his lotus feet? Dushva samatvam tat chore satye chaiva vyavastitim kamsas tushtamana rajan prahashan idam apravi. My dear King Parikshit, when Kamsa saw that Vasudeva, being situated in truthfulness, was completely equipoised in giving him the child, he was very happy. Therefore, with a smiling face, he spoke as follows. Pati yato kumar yam nahi asmad astime bayan astamad yuvayor garban michurme vihita kila. O Vasudeva, you may take back your child and go home. I have no fear of your firstborn. It's the 8th child of you and Devaki I am concerned with, because that is the child by whom I am destined to be killed. Tateti sutam adaya yaya ana kadantu dubi nabhyanandattatad vakyam asato vijitatmanam. Vasudeva agreed and took his child back home. But because Kamsa had no character and no self-control, Vasudeva knew that he could not rely on Kamsa's word. Nandatya ye prache gopa yaschami sham cha yoshita Vishnayo Vasudevadya Devakyadya Yadustriya Sarvevai Devata Praya Ubayor Api Bharata Natayo Bandhu Surido Yecha Kamsam Anuvrata. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, headed by Nanda Maharaj, and including his associate cowherd men and their wives, were none but the denizens of the heavenly planets. O Maharaj Parikshit, best of the descendants of Bharata, and so too were the descendants of the Vishnu dynasty, headed by Vasudeva and Devaki, and the other women of the dynasty of Yadu. The friends, relatives, and well-wishers of both Nanda Maharaj and Vasudeva, and even those who externally appeared to be followers of Kamsa, were all demigods. Etat Kamsaya Bhagavan Cham Chasam Sa Vayetya Nara Umer Bharat Yamananam Daichanam Cha Vadho Yamam. Once the great saint Narada approached Kamsa and informed him of how the demoniac persons who were a great burden on the earth were going to be killed Thus Kamsa was placed into great fear and doubt. Visher vinirgame Kamso yadhun matva sura iti devakya garba sambhutam vishnum cha swapadham prati devakim vasudevam cha nigridya nigadaya grihe jatam aham putram tayor ajana shankaya. After the departure of the great saint Narada, Kamsa thought that all the members of the Yadu dynasty were demigods, and that any of the children born from the womb of Devaki might be Vishnu. Fearing his death, Kamsa arrested Vasudeva and Devaki and chained them with iron shackles. Suspecting each of the children to be Vishnu, Kamsa killed them one after another because of the prophecy that Vishnu would kill him. Matram pitaram bratrin sarvam cha suridastata nanti yasu tripo lubda rajana prayaso bhuvi. Kings, greedy for sense gratification on this earth, almost always kill their enemies indiscriminately. To satisfy their own whims, they may kill anyone, even their mother, fathers, brothers, friends. Atmanam iha sanjatam jnanam prag vishnuna hatam mahasuram kala nemim yadubi sa vyaru yata. In his previous birth, Kamsa had been a great demon named Kalanemi and had been killed by Vishnu. Upon learning this information from Narada, Kamsa became envious of everyone connected with the Yadu dynasty. Ugrasenam chapitaram yadu bojan nakadipim pam swayam nigraya bubuje shurashenam mahabala. Kamsa, the most powerful son of Ugrasena, even imprisoned his own father, the king of the Yadu, Bhoja, and Andhika dynasties, and personally ruled the states known as Shurasena. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. Chapter 2. Prayers by the demigods for Lord Krishna in the womb. Shishuku Vacha Pralamba Paka Chanara Trinavarta Mahasanai Ushtikarishta Dvidvida Hutanake Shidenukai Anyais Chashura Bhupalaya Bana Boma Dabiryata Yadhunam Kananam Chakre Balimagada Samshaya. Sukadeva Goswami said, under the protection of Magadharaj, Jarasandha, the powerful Kamsa began persecuting the kings of the Yadu dynasty. In this he had the cooperation of demons like Pralamba, Baka, Chanura, Trinavarta, Agashura, Ushtika, Arishta, Dvitvid, Putana, Keshi, Denuka, Banashura, Narakashura, and many other demoniac kings on the surface of the earth. Te Bidita Nivishishu Kuru Panchala Kekayan Salvan Vidarban Nishadan Videhan Koshalanapi. Persecuted by the demoniac kings, the Yadus left their own kingdom and entered various others, like those of the Kurus, Panchalas, Kikayas, Shalvas, Vidarbhas, Nishadas, Videhas, and Koshalas. Eketam Anirundanan nataya paryupashate hateshu shatru baleshu devakya ograshe shinanina saptamo vaishnavam namcha yam anantam prachakshate garbo babuva devakya harsha shoka vivardhana. Some of their relatives, however, began to follow Kamsa's principles and act in his service. After Kamsa, the king of Ugrasena, the son of Ugrasena, killed the 6 sons of Devaki, a plenary portion of Krishna entered her womb as her 7th child, arousing her pleasure and her lamentation. The plenary portion is celebrated by great sages as Ananta, who belongs to Krishna's 2nd quadruple expansion. Bhagavanapi Vishvatma Viditva Kam Sajam Payam Yadunam Nija Natanam Yogamayam Samadhishat. To protect the Yadus, his personal devotees, from Kamsa's attack, the personality of Godhead, Vishvatma, the supersoul of everyone, ordered Yogamaya as follows. Gacha Devi Brajam Bhadre Gopa Gopir Alankritam Rohini Vasudevasya Varyaste Nanda Kule Ananyascha Kamsa Samvigya Vivareshu Vashantihi. The Lord ordered Yogamaya, "Oh, my potency, who are worshipable for the entire world, and whose nature is to bestow good fortune upon all living entities, go to Vraj, where there live many cowherd men and their wives. In that beautiful land where many cows reside, Rohini, the wife of Vasudeva, is living at the home of Nanda Maharaj. Other wives of Vasudeva are also living there incognito because of fear of Kamsa. Please go there. Devakya Jatare Garbam Sheshakyam Gamama Mamakam Tatsani Kricha Rohinya Udare Saniveshaya. Within the womb of Devaki is my partial plenary expansion known as Shankarshan or Shesha. Without difficulty, transfer him into the womb of Rohini. Ataham Amsabhagina Devakya Putratam Sube Prapsya Mitvam Yasodayam Nanda Patnyam Bhavishyasi. O auspicious Yogamaya, I shall then appear with my full 6 opulences as the son of Devaki, and you will appear as the daughter of Mother Yasoda, the queen of Maharaj Nanda. Archishyanti Manusya Tvam Sarva Kama Vareshvarim Dupopahara Balibi Sarva Kama Varapradam. By sacrifices of animals, ordinary human beings will worship you gorgeously with various paraphernalia, because you are supreme in fulfilling the material desires of everyone. Namadeyani kurvanti stanani cha narabhuvi durgeti bhadra kaliti vijaya vaishnaviti cha kumuda chandika krishna madhavi kanya keti cha mayanarai Yanasinani Surad Yenya Bhiketi Cha. Lord Krishna blessed Maya Devi by saying, in different places on the surface of the earth, people will give you different names, such as Durga, Bhadrakali, Vijaya, Vaishnavi, Kamuda, Chandika, Krishna, Madhavi, Kanyaka, Maya, Narayani, Ishani, Sarada, and Ambika. Garbha Shankar Shanatam Vai Prabhu Shankar Shanat Bhuvi Rameti Loka Ramad Balabhadram Balotrayat. The son of Rohini will also be celebrated as Shankarshan because of being sent from the womb of Devaki to the womb of Rohini. He will be called Ram because of his ability to please all the inhabitants of Gokula, and he will also be known as Bala Bhadra because of his extensive physical strength. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Sandhi Staivam Bhagavata Tateti Om Iti Tad Vacha Patrigriya Parikramya Gam Gata Tat Tata Karo. Thus instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Yogamaya immediately agreed. With the Vedic mantra Om, she confirmed that she would do what he asked. Thus, having accepted the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she circumambulated him and started for the place on earth known as Nanda Gokula. There she did everything just as she had been told. Garbe praniti devakya rohinim yoganidraya aho risham shito garba iti pura vichu shushu. When the child of Devaki was attracted and transferred into the womb of Rohini by Yogamaya, Devaki seemed to have had a miscarriage. Thus, all the inhabitants of the palace loudly lamented, "Alas, Devaki has lost her child." Bhagavan api vishvatma bhaktanam abhyankara avish veshamsha bhagena mana anadan duntube. Thus, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the supersoul of all living entities and who vanquishes all the fear of his devotees, entered the mind of Vasudeva in full opulence. Sabibrat Purusham Dhamma Brahmano Yataravi Durashado Tidurdarsho Bhutanam Sambhavat Bhuvaha. While carrying the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within the core of his heart, Vasudeva bore the Lord's transcendentally illuminating effulgence, and thus he became as bright as the sun. He was therefore very difficult to see or approach through sensory perception. Indeed, he was unapproachable and unperceivable even for such formidable men as Kamsa, and not only for Kamsa, but for all living entities. Krishna Tato Jagan Mangalam Achyutam Samahitam Surasena Devi Tatara Sarvat Makamatma Bhutam Kashta Yatananda Karam Manasta. thereafter, accompanied by plenary expansions. The fully opulent, supreme personality of Godhead, who is all auspicious for the entire universe, was transferred from the mind of Devaki, from the mind of Vasudeva to the mind of Devaki. Devaki, having thus been initiated by Vasudeva, became beautiful by carrying Lord Krishna, the original consciousness for everyone, the cause of all causes, within the core of her heart, just as the east becomes beautiful by carrying the rising moon. Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. I wanted to read all 3 volumes, but falling asleep here. Krishna. I might just take rest. And tomorrow, Prabhupada's appearance day, I was thinking to read from the Prabhupada Lilamrita, which a devotee friend gave me a copy, several volumes. But, I'm going to have to fall asleep. I've got to keep going, so. They had a bookmark. Yeah, here we go. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Shri Krishna Chaitanya.